15 teenagers, one yellow school bus, and a foggy November morning. They posed for a photo before heading off on a school retreat, smiling, full of life. That photo, the one you're looking at now, would be the last time anyone saw them again. But the strangest part? When investigators found the abandoned bus hours later, the school's name had been scrubbed off completely, as if someone or something didn't want the bus to be identified. What happened next would haunt the nation for nearly 2 decades. And 19 years later, what was discovered would shake even the most seasoned detectives. November 13, 2006. Graridge, North Carolina. Let me tell you about these kids first, because they weren't just random teenagers. They were the best of the best. Northwood High's advanced placement program was legendary in the region. Out of 2,400 students, only 30 made it into the elite college prep track. And from those 30, just 15 were selected for the annual Pine Hollow Academic Retreat. Marcus Thompson, 17, valedictorian track, already accepted to Duke on early admission. His mom worked 3 jobs to keep him in advanced math camps every summer. Aaliyah Jenkins, 16, debate team captain who'd never lost a tournament. She was planning to study constitutional law and had already been contacted by Harvard recruiters. Damon Rivers, 18, star athlete with a 4.0 GPA. Full scholarship to UNC waiting for him, but he wanted to be a doctor, not play basketball. Keisha Williams, 15, the youngest of the group, a mathematical prodigy who was already taking college-level calculus. I could go through all 15 names, but you get the picture. These weren't trouble kids. These weren't runaways. These were the future leaders of their community. And that's exactly what made them perfect targets. The Pine Hollow Outdoor Academy Retreat was a 3-day intensive program, leadership exercises, college prep workshops, career mentoring. It cost $1,200 per student, but the school district covered it for these high achievers. That morning, November 13th, they gathered at 6:30 a.m. in the school parking lot. Parents took pictures. Hugs were exchanged. Someone suggested the group photo by the bus. Mrs. Patricia Hayes, Marcus's mother, later told investigators, "My son was so excited. He kept saying, 'Mom, this is my future. This retreat is going to change everything.' She was right. It did change everything. Just not the way she meant. Let's walk through that morning minute by minute, because the details matter. 6:32 a.m., group photo taken. 15 teens, all smiling, posed in front of bus number 47. The school name, Northwood High, clearly visible above the windshield. 6:45 a.m., final head count by chaperone Mrs. Linda Okafor, the AP program coordinator. She noted each student had their weekend bag, study materials, and emergency contact forms. 7:02 a.m., bus departs. Driver Jerry Paulson, 54, veteran with 12 years of experience and a spotless record, waves to parents as they pull out. 7:15 a.m., last confirmed sighting on Highway 74 East, captured by a traffic camera. The bus appears normal. No signs of distress. 8:20 a.m., bus should have reached the first checkpoint. A rest stop 45 minutes from Pine Hollow. They never arrived. 9:45 a.m., Pine Hollow staff makes first inquiry call to Northwood High. Just checking on ETA. 11:30 a.m., Pine Hollow officially reports the group as missing. Their instructors are waiting. Lunch is getting cold. 1:15 p.m., police are contacted. Abolo, be on lookout. Alert goes out for bus number 47. 4:42 p.m., State Trooper Hannah McKenzie spots the bus. But it's not where it should be. It's 18 miles off course, down a fire road that's barely wide enough for a vehicle. A road that doesn't appear on most GPS systems. A road locals call Devil's Bend. Trooper Mackenzie approaches the scene like any other abandoned vehicle call. But within seconds, she knows something is terribly wrong. The bus is running, headlights on in broad daylight, both front and rear doors wide open, like someone just stepped out for a moment. But the silence is deafening. Mackenzie radios for backup, then conducts her initial walkthrough. Her body cam footage, released years later, shows her confusion. Dispatch, this is Mackenzie. Vehicle appears abandoned, but it's like they just evaporated. No personal items. No signs of struggle. But there's something else. She focuses her camera on the top of the bus, where the school identification should be. Nothing. Not painted over. Not scraped off carelessly. Professionally removed. The yellow paint beneath is slightly newer looking, as if the metal had been protected by the signage for years. Someone took the school name off this bus, Mackenzie reports. Question is, when and why? Within an hour, the scene fills with investigators. What they find defies explanation. Engine still warm, keys in ignition. Fuel tank nearly full. No fingerprints wiped, suggesting whoever did this wore gloves from the start. One small detail that almost got overlooked: a smear of gray primer on the dashboard, the kind used to prep metal before painting or removing graphics. But most disturbing of all, the bus's GPS tracking system had been professionally disabled. Not damaged in an accident, carefully dismantled by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Detective Ray Morrison, who led the initial investigation, later said in interviews, "In 23 years of law enforcement, I'd never seen anything like it. It wasn't random. It wasn't impulsive. Someone had planned this operation down to the smallest detail." The bus was towed to a secure facility for forensic analysis. But despite processing every inch of the vehicle, investigators found no DNA evidence from the missing students or driver. It was as if they had never been on that bus at all. Within 24 hours, the largest search operation in North Carolina history was underway. Devil's Bend encompasses 847 acres of dense forest, limestone caves, and abandoned mining shafts from the 1940s. The terrain is treacherous. Steep ravines, underground water systems, and areas so thick with pine trees that helicopters can't see the ground. Search teams included 127 local volunteers, 43 law enforcement officers, 12 K-9 units, 3 helicopters with thermal imaging, cave rescue specialists from Tennessee. The National Guard was called in on day 3. For 2 weeks, they combed every inch of accessible forest. Dogs picked up scent trails that led nowhere. Thermal imaging detected nothing. Cave specialists rappelled into dozens of underground systems. Then, on November 27th, exactly 2 weeks after the disappearance, volunteer searcher Mike Kowalski made the first and only discovery. Draped over a rotting tree stump, about 3 miles from where the bus was found, was a gray Northwood hoodie, size medium. The name Kennard was stitched into the collar in navy blue thread. Kennard Davis, 16, honor roll student, planned to study engineering. But here's what made investigators' blood run cold. The hoodie was perfectly clean. No dirt, no tears, no signs it had been exposed to 2 weeks of November weather. It had been placed there recently. Someone or something was still in those woods. By December 2006, the story exploded nationally. Cable news, podcasts, internet forums, everyone had a theory. Theory number 1. Human trafficking. Some experts suggested the bus was intercepted by an organized trafficking ring. The removal of school identification could have been to prevent tracing. But trafficking victims are usually taken individually, and there was no evidence of such a large-scale operation in rural North Carolina. Theory number 2. Cult activity. The remote location and mass disappearance led some to suspect religious extremists. Devil's Bend had a history. In the 1970s, a doomsday cult called the Eternal Dawn had operated in the area before being disbanded by authorities. But former members were tracked down and cleared. Theory number 3. Government cover-up. This theory gained traction online. Some claimed the students had witnessed something classified, or that the retreat was a cover for a military operation gone wrong. The professional removal of bus identification seemed to support this. Who else would have the resources and expertise? Theory number 4. Serial killer profilers suggested a serial killer targeting young African Americans. But the logistics of controlling 16 people, including the bus driver, simultaneously would require multiple perpetrators or extraordinary circumstances. Meanwhile, the families were living a nightmare. Marcus Thompson's mother, Patricia, organized daily prayer vigils. "My son is out there somewhere," she told reporters. "He's waiting for us to find him." Aaliyah Jenkins' father, Robert, spent his life savings hiring private investigators. "The police are doing their best, but I can't just sit here. These are our babies." By January 2007, the FBI joined the investigation. Agent Sarah Chun, who specialized in missing persons cases, brought federal resources and fresh perspective. But even she admitted the case was unlike anything in Bureau history. Usually, with mass disappearances, you have witnesses, you have evidence of planning, you have some kind of motive we can understand, Chun explained in a 2008 interview. Here, we had a group of honor students vanishing into thin air, with the only clue being professional-grade evidence removal. The disappearance didn't just take 15 teenagers and a bus driver. It slowly consumed an entire community. Northwood High School became a place of whispers and empty hallways. Parents pulled their children out. Teachers requested transfers. The advanced placement program was quietly discontinued. By May 2007, enrollment had dropped by 400 students. The school board voted to close Northwood High permanently. The building was sold to a private company and converted into a warehouse. Grayridge, population 8,200, began its own disappearing act. The Hayes family moved to Charlotte. The Jenkins family relocated to Virginia. One by one, the families of the missing students left town, unable to bear the constant reminders. Local businesses failed. Property values plummeted. The annual Harvest Festival, a 40-year tradition, was canceled indefinitely. But some families stayed. They couldn't leave. What if their children came home? Sarah Davis, Kennard's mother, kept his room exactly as he left it. She worked at the local diner and spent every free moment posting flyers, maintaining social media pages, calling the FBI. "People tell me to move on," she said in a 2010 documentary. "But you don't move on from your child. You don't give up. Ever." By 2015, Grayridge's population had dropped to fewer than 4,000 residents. The area around Devil's Bend was officially closed to the public. Too many amateur investigators and thrill-seekers were getting lost in the dangerous terrain. The case went cold. Media coverage stopped. The Northwood 15 became a footnote in true crime databases, mentioned alongside other unsolved mysteries. Until January 2025. January 12th. A massive ice storm hit western North Carolina, knocking out power to over 200,000 homes and businesses. Duke Energy sent emergency crews to restore critical infrastructure. Among them was electrical technician James Reeves, working to repair a downed power line near Devil's Bend. The work required him to clear fallen trees and debris in an area that hadn't been thoroughly searched since the original investigation. The storm had uprooted massive pines, some over 100 years old. Around 2 p.m., while using a chainsaw to clear a particularly large oak, Reeves noticed something metallic beneath the exposed root system. At first, he thought it was an old septic tank or water main. But as he cleared more debris, he realized it was a Hatch military-grade steel, about 4 feet square, with a wheel lock mechanism. It wasn't on any utility maps. It wasn't on any county records. Reeves called his supervisor, who called the county, who called the state, who, within 6 hours, had FBI agents and hazmat teams cordoning off a half-mile radius around the site. The hatch was opened at 11:47 p.m. that night. What they found beneath would rewrite everything we thought we knew about the Northwood 15. The hatch opened onto a metal ladder descending 60 feet underground. At the bottom, a sterile, fluorescent-lit corridor that stretched into darkness. The facility was massive, over 30 rooms connected by a maze of hallways. Everything was preserved in eerie, climate-controlled perfection. Room 1. A recreation of a school bus interior, complete with vinyl seats and windows that showed projected forest scenery. But no school name above the windshield, just blank metal where identification should be. Room 2. Observation chamber with one-way mirrors overlooking a space designed to look like a classroom. Notebooks on the tables. Equations on the whiteboards. All abandoned mid-lesson. Room 3. Medical examination room with restraint tables for equipment and cabinets full of unlabeled medications. Room 4. Dormitory with 16 bunk beds, each marked with a number. Personal items on the nightstands, a brush, a notebook, a small teddy bear. Room 5. Conference room with a large table surrounded by chairs. On the table, manila folders labeled with each student's name, containing psychological profiles, academic records, and family information dating back years. But the most chilling discovery was in Room 6, a wall of video monitors connected to a digital storage system containing hundreds of hours of recorded footage. The dates on the files ranged from November 2006 to March 2010. Over 3 years of recordings. FBI analysts spent weeks processing the video evidence. What they found was a systematic documentation of psychological experimentation that violated every principle of human decency. The footage showed the 15 students and their bus driver in various stages of what appeared to be behavioral modification testing. Phase 1, November-December 2006, orientation. Students shown in the bus replica room, being told they were part of a special government program for gifted youth. They appeared confused but compliant. Phase 2, January-August 2007, conditioning, sensory deprivation exercises, sleep schedule manipulation, repetitive audio loops played during rest periods. Phase 3, September 2007 to June 2008, integration. Students forced to perform academic exercises under stress, with rewards and punishments administered based on compliance. Phase 4, July 2008 to March 2010, advanced testing. The footage from this period is the most disturbing and remains classified. The recordings showed that not all 15 students survived the full program. Audio logs, apparently made by the researchers, contained phrases like subject D7 showing unexpected resistance and cognitive integration failing in subjects under 16. One researcher's voice, appearing frequently in the later recordings, was eventually identified through voice analysis software. Dr. Marcus Webb, former military psychologist discharged from the Army in 2005 for ethical violations in human subject research. The paper trail led investigators to Virexin Labs, a private defense contractor that operated from 2001 to 2011. The company specialized in human performance optimization and had received over $30 million in classified funding from multiple government agencies. Project Inkvale was Virexin's most secretive operation, developing techniques for cognitive restructuring in high-value targets. The goal was to create methodologies for extracting information and ensuring compliance without traditional interrogation methods. But they needed test subjects, and they needed subjects who wouldn't immediately trigger national searches. The Northwood 15 fit their profile perfectly. High intelligence, for meaningful test results. Minority status, less media attention. Rural location, easier to control information. Scheduled travel, built-in cover story. Internal documents revealed the operation's scope. Bus driver Gerald Paulson was not a victim. He was a Virexin operative. The mechanical issue that led the bus to Devil's Bend was fabricated. The school signage was removed to prevent identification of any discovered evidence. Pine Hollow Outdoor Academy had no record of hosting the Northwood group. Someone had created fake confirmation documents. Dr. Webb and his team had spent months planning the abduction, studying each student's psychological profile, and preparing the underground facility. In March 2025, DNA analysis confirmed the identities of 12 remains found in a sealed section of the underground facility. The victims showed signs of malnutrition, chronic stress, and exposure to psychotropic drugs. But 3 students remained unaccounted for. Jacinta Price, 17, Malik Jefferson, 16. Kennard Davis, 16. Then, on March 18th, a social worker in Boise, Idaho, made a routine call to verify a resident's identity for housing assistance. The woman called herself Naomi Fields. She appeared to be in her 20s, but had no documentation, no birth certificate, no social security record, no family contacts. She exhibited signs of severe trauma, night terrors, memory gaps, inability to recall her childhood. A fingerprint check revealed the impossible truth. Naomi Fields was Jacinta Price, one of the missing Northwood 15. She had aged 19 years, but in her mind, she was still 17 years old, sitting in a bus on the way to a school retreat. Medical examination revealed evidence of long-term pharmaceutical intervention, drugs designed to suppress memory formation and alter personality structure. She had no recollection of the experiments, the facility, or how she came to be in Idaho. But she had dreams, recurring nightmares about a yellow bus with no name, concrete rooms, and two boys who whispered, "We're not supposed to be here." Those boys were Malik and Kennard, and according to Jacinta's fragmented memories, they might still be alive. Federal agents are following leads across 12 states, searching for Malik Jefferson and Kennard Davis. Dr. Marcus Webb died in federal custody before he could reveal the location of other facilities. Virexin Labs officially dissolved in 2011, but 6 of its senior researchers now work for private military contractors around the world. The families of the Northwood 15 finally have some answers. But for 3 families, the search isn't over. And remember, this didn't happen in some distant country or decades past. This happened in North Carolina in 2006 to honor students whose only crime was being excellent. The bus signage wasn't just removed to cover tracks. It was removed because to the people who took these kids, they were never really students at all. They were just test subjects who got on the wrong bus.